The BYU football program is enjoying some much-needed downtime this weekend as they get ready to face off against TCU in the back half of their schedule, kicking off next Saturday. What are some of the changes I hope they made this week in practice they will implement as soon as next week against the Horned Frogs? We'll talk about that. We'll also talk some BYU basketball, and I also have a couple of emails you guys have sent in I want to answer as well. We got a lot to cover, not a lot of time to do it, so let's get right to it. This is Locked On Cougars.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Hatch, your host here on Locked On Cougars, your resident BYU insider. Thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Thank you to all of you who are everydayers with us right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your original daily podcast focused on all things BYU sports. And of course, today's show is brought to you by our friends over at LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs help find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. All right, let's dive right in on today's show and talk a little bit about BYU football. Now, the Cougars practiced Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week as they were getting ready for their bye week. Players have been given some extra downtime. I've seen some of them scatter to parts unknown. What I mean by that is they've gone home if they live out of state or their family lives out of state, some of them. And obviously, there's going to be plenty of work going on during the bye week as well, but also some much needed downtime. It's an opportunity for guys to unwind a little bit, catch up on schoolwork, do all the things they need to do to continue to put the student part in the student athlete side of things. The other thing is the NIL platform. Now, some of you may have seen that Utah has rewarded all 85 of their scholarship players with Ram 1500 trucks, 2024 editions. Average bill on one of those retail is $61,000. It's coming by way of Crimson Collective as well as For the Win 360, a new video platform that the Utes are partnering with. In addition to the Garf family, of course, has a network of dealerships across the United States of America who are helping source all that, and they're a big part of this NIL deal. Let me just say this, for any of you Cougar fans who are fretting that Utah is getting the upper hand on BYU and NIL, hold your horses. That's all I can say. I'm kind of bound to secrecy in a lot of ways on this, but good news is on the horizon for BYU in a very similar, if not downright same type of format for BYU athletics. I've said way too much, so bear with me on that. But the bigger thing is the bye week is a very important time for BYU to regroup, obviously. And in many ways, they don't necessarily need to regroup because of a bad thing. It's just a chance to heal up and hopefully hit the ground running when they head to TCU next Saturday, a 1:30 kickoff here along the Wasatch Front, 2:30 there in Fort Worth. And it's just a big opportunity for BYU looking at the back half of their schedule, knowing that, hey, we've put a lot of money in the bank, so to say, with a 4-1 record in the front half, figuratively, of our schedule. Now let's hit the back half and go make a run at it. There's a big opportunity for BYU here, but there's some changes I hope that BYU has made during this bye week. And some of them are personnel, other ones are just philosophical type stuff. So the number one thing that I hope that BYU changed is maybe changing a little bit of how they go about their rush game philosophically. And what I mean by that is I'm not asking for a wholesale change and saying, all right, let's completely change the blocking scheme. Let's change how we're operating in that realm. I'm just hoping that philosophically they're having a different message preached to them, because it feels like they made some progress, obviously, against Cincinnati. And I'm assuming something changed at that point to get the offensive line operating on the same page. Like I said, in our postcast edition of the podcast that we did, was it a perfect transition? No, it wasn't. It was not the perfect performance for BYU when it comes to their offensive line this past week, but the philosophy, I think, needs to continue to evolve, whether that's messaging from Aaron Roderick, Daryl Funk, messaging amongst the players themselves, come to Jesus meeting, just getting on the same page. I don't know what it is. I just want to see an upgrade in that realm. Number two, I want to see an upgrade at punt returner. This is nothing against Hobbs Nyberg. Let me be very clear about this. He has been a very, very serviceable punt returner during his time at BYU, but they could do more. I hope that they give other guys an opportunity back there at punt returner. Look at other guys on the roster: Keelan Marion, Parker Kingston. Heck, Caleb Christensen may get another look, considering he's back in the good graces with the football program, playing some defensive back. Give some of these guys another look and see if you can find a better option in the punt return game. It feels like that's a place in special teams that's lacking a little bit. Whereas college football has tried to do away and really kind of almost in a way, legislate kickoff returns out of the game because of the high impact and obviously the high percentage of injuries relative to other parts of the college football and just football game in general. Punt return remains relatively unchanged. Yes, you can't necessarily go and wipe guys out like they were in the past when it comes to special teams, but you can get better field position via punt return, it feels like, in many circumstances, than you could from kick return. Why wouldn't you look at all options in the punt return game? So that's one thing. And like I said, if Hobbs Nyberg proves to continue to be the best option for BYU, then so be it. I'll accept that. But I would hope that BYU takes a wholesale look at that. Another thing I would look at right now, if I'm BYU, is how are we going about in terms of our reporting of injuries? And what I mean by that is that in this day and age, folks, there is so much ingrained in college sports with the proliferation of legalized sports gambling. Now, the state of Utah, it's not legal, and it probably will be like literally the last state to ever legalize sports betting or gambling of any type. It's not in the Utah state DNA. I get that. It would probably have to come down from the federal government to get Utah to acquiesce to any sort of legalized wagering. But here's the thing. Injuries play a big role in how lines are set. And there are whispers out there. And trust me, I talk to enough people on a weekly basis myself about injuries around BYU that if I really wanted to really open up a can of worms, I could do it. Almost anybody in the media corps at BYU can do it. But there's kind of like this gentleman's agreement that we almost play coy in a way. I would hope that BYU learned something from the situation up at Utah right now. Cam Rising went on a local radio station, ESPN 700, and said that I didn't just tear my ACL, folks. I completely wiped out my knee. I tore my MCL, my meniscus, just multiple injuries in that knee. And the messaging from the Utah football program all offseason, like, he's on track, he's tracking well. And then now they've kind of heaped all of the, I guess, I don't want to say blame, but kind of all the reason why Cam isn't playing on to his doctor, who is Dr. Neil Elatrache, or whatever, how you say his name. He's one of the foremost renowned surgeons in terms of orthopedic sports injuries in the entire world. Like, this dude, he is the man outside of Dr. James Andrews, it feels like, when it comes to having orthopedic surgery for sports injuries. This dude is the general practitioner, if I'm not mistaken, for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Like, he is the man when it comes to these surgeries. But the University of Utah has done themselves no favors by continuing to crow that Cam Rising's on his way. It felt like in many ways his comments were trying to set the record straight, saying, you know what, I've tried everything in my power to get back, but understand that it was more significant than just a simple ACL tear. And why I bring up Utah to talk about BYU is I just hope that at some point these college football programs can just be a little more forthcoming with their injury reports. You don't need to tell us necessarily what the injuries are. I'm not saying you need to go out and do what the NBA does, where it feels like the NBA goes to like the most minuscule detail of this is exactly what the injury is. You can't pronounce half the words that they're saying that the injury is, and this is how long he's expected out. But you could simply just put out a probable, questionable, doubtful, and out designation. It's what the NFL requires of all their teams. Now, this is pie in the sky type stuff. I get that, but it's something I wish the BYU would do, because it would help deal with some of the issues out there when it comes to Cougar fans and just college football fans in general getting upset when a player's, well, he's getting close to coming back, but then they don't play for a number of weeks when it's like they're getting close or they're on track. It would clear up so much confusion in that realm. And like I said, today's podcast, let me be also very clear. This is kind of stuff I've been spitballing through my mind. I've had a lot of stuff going on, and many of you know what's going on in my personal life with my son and all. But the bigger thing is, it just feels like there's some changes that could be implemented that would help clear a lot of the situations up around just with injuries, and that would include BYU on that realm. Maybe it'd have to be legislated by the Big 12. I don't know. It's going to have. I think it needs to change. I hope it does change, but I'm not expecting it next week to change. It's just one of the ideas I had in my head. One other personnel one I meant to mention this earlier on is I want to see more from BYU when it comes to the defensive secondary. And what I mean by that is I've really liked what Tanner Wall and Ethan Slate have done at safety for BYU. They've been fantastic. But what I saw from Raider Demooney makes me think that he is the future of the safety position for BYU right now. He should be starting next week against TCU. Let him take his lumps. He looks every bit the part of a future star safety for BYU. He looks the part of the next insert Craig Bills, kind of Kua, Andrew Rich, the Aaron Francisco, the history of great BYU safeties. Raider Demooney appears to be the next in that long line of great defensive backs for BYU. And it's nothing against Tanner Wall. It's nothing against Ethan Slate. It's nothing against Crew Wakely. They have given their heart and soul to this football program. But Raider Demooney is the best athlete of the bunch. Start him. Put him in the starting lineup and let him take his lumps. Yes, there are going to be bumps in the road because he is still a relatively young football player. He's home off of a mission. Obviously, he's an older athlete, but he's not played a lot of college football. He's actually played very minimal. But what I saw against Cincinnati has me thinking, you know what? It's time. Make the transition. You made the transition from Malik Moore because Malik Moore has got his butt planted on that bench for whatever reason right now. And I don't know what the situation is there. I wish I did. But if he can't get on the football field, let's just go to the future and turn your attention to Raider Demooney. He's a freshman. Give him as many reps as you possibly can and let him really learn on the job at this point. You can intersperse Crew Wakely, Tanner Wall, Ethan Slate all alongside him. And there will continue to be a rotation. But I want to see Raider Demooney's name atop the depth chart. That's my personal hope on that matter. Another thing I'm looking forward to is seeing how the running back position continues to kind of shake out for BYU. It looks like LJ Martin is far and away BYU's number one running back. Will there be any point that the mysterious injury, whatever has been ailing Aiden Robbins, will he return from that? And can he make a push back up the depth chart? Who knows? Is Miles Davis ready to really make his move and establish himself as the number 2 running back? Can Deion Smith finally get untracked and really prove himself? I want to see a more clear picture outside of LJ Martin of who really BYU can rely on at running back, because you need to find at least one other back who can be the complement to LJ Martin. LJ Martin's a similar situation to me of what Raider Demooney is, where LJ Martin proved himself and has been given that opportunity. Give that same opportunity to a guy like Raider Demooney. I want to see the youth movement. I want to see some of these guys who look very much the part. Just give them the job until the other guys, hey, it's nothing against y'all, but we're looking a little bit to get these guys ingrained into the program because they are the future. They're simply put, they are the future of this program. So those are just me spitballing with a few things I've been kicking around my mind for BYU during this bye week. Now, other things have been happening this week. Obviously, with a bye week, basketball took a little bit of center stage. They had their first media availability of the season, had our first opportunity to see BYU players working out the new programs. Maybe some of my impressions of the basketball program coming up next, and then we'll round out today's show with a couple of emails I received. And you guys don't disappoint. I'll just say that when you guys send in your emails. I guess a miniature listener mailbag as well as some other news and notes on BYU sports going into the weekend. Well, as we continue on right here on Locked On Cougars. Now, a quick word on our friends over at LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. All of us want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available, and that's why you have to turn to LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs help people find the right people for your team, more importantly, faster and for free. All you got to do is go online and set up that LinkedIn job, the job application or whatever, the form, whatever you're looking to do, my friends. Then add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile. Tell people know that you're hiring, and they have simple tools like screening questions, making it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. And that's why small businesses are rating LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus their leading competitors. That's all because of LinkedIn Jobs. They are helping you to find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Post that job for free. Once again, turn Terms and conditions apply. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at UCCU. Of course, UCCU is their mobile banking app is paying your entire family to learn about money. Kids look to parents to become financially literate. And of course, you as parents or myself don't always have the right answers. Learn and Earn, what they're calling it, is breaking down financial topics into fun, bite-sized educational games like quizzes and trivia. Every time a family member completes a topic, they earn points that accrue and can be redeemed for gift cards to a myriad of retailers: Amazon, Apple, Sephora, Walmart, Nike, and many, many more. There's age-appropriate content for every member of the family, and y'all can compete against one another and track your progress on leaderboards. Learn and Earn is available inside the UCCU mobile banking app, and of course, you can play it anytime, anywhere, because it's mobile, my friends. So the more you play, the more you learn. And of course, the more you learn, the more you earn. It's all courtesy of UCCU, the Learn and Earn program, part of their award-winning Be Money Smart Youth Banking program, helping kids, teens, and parents have fun while becoming more financially literate together. It's all courtesy of your friends at UCCU. Love where you bank. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars a part of your day. Thank you for being every day with us here on the podcast. Apologies for the lack of special graphics on today's show. Been a little bit busy, as most of you guys know out there, and just didn't have time to get that done. I just wanted to get the podcast out to you guys. Apologies that yesterday's did not come through. I just a little bit too busy with everything going on in the world. But I want to encourage you guys, if you're watching this on Friday morning or at any point, really, after this, check out the Locked On College Football Kickoff Live. It goes live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 9 a.m. Mountain Time on every Locked On College YouTube channel, including this one. Covers playoff implications, conference rivalry games. Of course, goes in depth like only Locked On can, with insight and analysis from their stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every single day. Find Locked On College Football Kickoff Live once again this morning, Friday morning, or it's on demand as soon as it goes onto our podcast feeds or like our YouTube feeds on any Locked On College YouTube channel. You won't want to miss it. All right. Couple of things on BYU basketball. Now, the Cougars do know their first ever Big 12 schedule, and it's a doozy, folks. There's no hiding for the BYU basketball program out there when it comes to the level of basketball they will be going up against literally night in, not night in and night out, but every game they play in the Big 12 this season. And I don't think anybody in the BYU men's basketball program is under any illusion that they're going to be overlooked and also just undervalued. But the bigger thing is they know what type of teams they're going up against all the time. And the same thing for the women's basketball team. The women's basketball team was picked 11th out of the 12 teams participating in the Big 12 conference this season in women's hoops. So there is going to be a really, really tough row to hoe for the men's and women's basketball programs for BYU. But I had a chance to go out to BYU basketball practice and availability earlier this week. Is actually a welcome distraction for a little bit to feel a little bit normal out there. But the bigger thing for BYU is the message I got from both. They had Dallin Hall speak to the media. Mark Pope was actually traveling the day that they had media availability on Tuesday. But the bigger message coming from the BYU basketball program is that we know what we're up against, but they're also very, very excited. Dallin Hall said that he learned of BYU's move to the Big 12 conference while he was in the mission field. He said he had committed to BYU with the whole thought that he'd be playing in the West Coast Conference, going up against St. Mary's and Gonzaga, most notably during his time as a collegiate athlete. But he said this is the dream for him as an athlete, is to play this type of basketball, because you look at BYU men's basketball schedule, their non-conference slate is very home heavy. The only true road game for BYU during the non-conference portion is a road game December 9th at Utah. The rest of it's either home or a neutral site event, one of them being played at the Delta Center for BYU. But then, man, you open a Big 12 play against Cincinnati. Then you're at Baylor, at UCF, home to Iowa State, at Texas Tech, home to Houston, home to Texas, at West Virginia, at Oklahoma, home to Kansas State, against UCF once again at home, at Oklahoma State, home to Baylor, at Kansas State, at Kansas, TCU, at Iowa State, and then finally finishing it off with a home game against Oklahoma State. That is like murderer's row. Almost every one of those teams that I just mentioned on BYU's Big 12 schedule has either NCAA tournament aspirations / expectations, if not outright Final Four / NCAA championship potential in them. That is what BYU is going up against. And a guy like Dallin Hall is going to play a very key role for BYU this season. It's not lost on him what BYU's got staring them in the face this season. I think that BYU's done a pretty good job, and it was one practice, so I'm going to be very, very clear about this. But I liked what I saw from some of the newcomers in the BYU men's basketball room. Ali Khalifa, the moniker that he is the Egyptian magician with his passing ability, it's legit, folks. He had some passes during the media portion, and I watched about 85-ish% of the practice. He had some passes as a 6'11" big man who is not small by any means. Let me just be very clear about that. He's got good size to him, but his passing ability, it's going to unlock opportunities for BYU in their offense. He also shot 40+% from the 3-point line. Now, I didn't see him attempt a three that I can remember during practice, but the hype about him is real. I really like what Dallin Hall looks like. He has transformed his body. He looks significantly more cut, more lean. Looks like he's really worked on his body to be able to hold up against the rigors of this Big 12 schedule. Same thing for guys like Trevin Nell and Richie Saunders. Like they're going to be very important for BYU out on the wing. Their 3-point shooting and their ability to defend on the wing are going to be critical to any and all success that BYU has in the basketball sense this season. Now, Marcus Adams Jr., the newest member of the BYU basketball program, he was in a boot. The coaches said that he has a minor injury. It's in the healing phase. They're hoping that he's going to be able to be on the court soon. That was only the only noticeable injury concern that I saw out there for BYU. Jackson Robinson looked, I thought, pretty good out there for BYU as another wing player. But the hope is that Marcus Adams, once he is cleared to resume basketball activities, get on the court and practice with his team, what this kid showed at Narbonne High School down there in the LA area was a dude who could absolutely hoop and could score with the best of them. How quickly will that translate to BYU and on the basketball court? Who knows? The other thing about this is, I don't know how many of you probably noticed over the weekend, BYU hosted last week 4 high-level prospects. We're talking high 3-star, if not outright 4-star talents across the board. Brooks Barr, Brody Kozlowski. There were a number of guys, Malik Diallo from Wasatch Academy. There were multiple on campus throughout the week, and obviously into the weekend as BYU took on Cincinnati. BYU knows they have to recruit at an elite level to really compete annually in the Big 12 Conference. And that's going to take them really upping their game in the recruiting sphere. Will they land all 4 of those high-level players? It'd be awesome if they did, because all of them could be really, really nice impact players for the BYU basketball program, and they're the type of athletes BYU needs to have when it comes to competing in the Big 12 Conference. But I'm not expecting them to land all 4 of them. If they do, great. But the thing is, BYU understands this. It's a similar circumstance with BYU football. They knew, okay, we have had very good athletes, but we've got to step it up to another level with Big 12 football. And of course, BYU has used the transfer portal to a great degree, and I would expect that BYU basketball will continue to blend both high school recruiting as well as transfer portal additions to fill out Mark Pope's roster. But I get the sense from the BYU basketball program that the reality of what they're going up against is not lost on them, but they're also very excited to go out there and compete. Will they be competitive year one? TBD. But I get the sense that they're ready for it. They are ready for the challenge. How ready can they really be? And will that readiness translate to them being above 500 in conference play? I have my doubts, but here's the thing. BYU football, there are people out there saying that, well, Kalani Sitake could be fired at BYU. They could go 3-9 this year. Folks, they're already 4-1. They love embracing the underdog mentality, and I get that sense that BYU basketball will take that same underdog role that the football program has embraced and say, let's go out and shock the world. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be the one thing I can assure you of, and I guess I can just peel back the curtain on this. I did buy 2 tickets to BYU basketball. Not for me. I'm going to be able to go to any game I want with a media credential. I'll be very frank about that. I bought 2 tickets because I want y'all. I want BYU fans to go out and experience this, because you have Baylor coming in, Oklahoma State, Texas. I wish that Kansas was coming here year one, but they will come at some point down the road for BYU basketball. I bought 2 tickets. Now, they're not premier seats, but I got 2 tickets, and I'm going to give them away to you guys out there in Cougar Nation. Send you guys to the games, and we'll have more details on that as the season draws a little bit closer. But this is going to be a historic first season for BYU basketball, and get ready for it. And we're going to send you guys out there. If you you guys are interested in that, we'll have more details, like I said, soon enough. But I bought the tickets thanks to your guys' support of the podcast. It's all with the walking around money that all the views and downloads and all that type of stuff that you guys do. Same reason I'm able to travel a little bit to cover BYU football. It's because you guys' support, and I want to reward you guys. So I bought 2 tickets, and we're going to send you guys to these games because this is a historic moment at Brigham Young University. Just not for football, it's for the entire athletic department. And it's not lost on BYU basketball either, because this is the best basketball league in the country. And we're going to send you guys out to enjoy some hoops, because this is the era of Portland, some of these dogs that existed in the West Coast Conference at times for BYU over the past decade plus. It's no longer. This is top to bottom. This is going to be awesome hoop, and I hope you guys will get a chance to get out and enjoy it. And like I said, we'll be rewarding a number of you listeners throughout the season upcoming as well. So just some of my thoughts, spitballing a little bit more on basketball, but I get the sense that they know the challenge in front of them, and that they should, honestly. I get that, but you can tell that there is a palpable feeling of, let's get to work. Let's go show what we're capable of. And this is a big opportunity for BYU basketball to make an impression across the country. And I'm hopeful that they will rise to the occasion and go out there and prove everybody and show what they're capable of. All right. Enough of that. Let's finish up today's show. Let's talk a little bit more about other BYU sports coming up this weekend. Also, BYU women's soccer in action last night. The number 7 ranked team against the number 7 ranked team. Welcome to how national rankings work out there. Texas Tech and BYU squaring off at Southfield. How did that all pan out? We'll talk about all of that as we continue on right here on Locked On Cougars. Now, another quick word on our great friends over at FanDuel. Of course, snap into action with the NFL season ongoing with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, my friends. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, off your initial bet, my friends. It's simple as that. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The best part is the app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and many, many more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. That's all courtesy of your friends at FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. All right, wrapping up today's show, and a big thank you all the same to all of you who are everydayers, and thank you for your support of the podcast. As always, thank you for being with us here. And let me just, on a personal note, I'm thankful to all y'all who have kind of have been bearing with me over the past week and a half, roughly, since my son was born. He's been in the NICU, and let me be very frank. It's been interesting to navigate this. I've had to play Mr. Mom in multiple circumstances. I've been to multiple parent-teacher conferences this week. I've been on leave from radio and all that stuff. I, of course, working for the KSL Sports Zone, all that stuff. While I split time with my wife and being with our newborn son at the NICU, and also being at home with our daughter and son, who are his older siblings. It's been a very interesting time. And man, I don't mean to get emotional on this, but you guys, the messages you guys sent in have meant a lot. And man, I didn't mean to get this emotional about this, but I just want to thank all y'all for bearing with me. It's been a crazy week and a half, and I haven't got as many podcasts done as I wanted to. I've spent a lot of time, but it's just, I want to say thank you to all of you for your support. Truthfully, messages have flooded in from all over. So thank you for your support, and just honestly, you guys are the best. It really does make it easy to do what I do. Apologies, I got man, big softy now that I'm a dad. But here's the thing: is it's incredible. People that I've literally never met thousands of you who watch and or consume this podcast in person, but I feel like I get to know y'all via social media, via the emails you sent, via the interactions we have digitally, and it means the world to me. So thank you for the support. Thank you for bearing with me, and honestly, just thank you for everything. It's been a period of a lot of reflection, obviously, because I've got a little one that I want nothing more than for him to be home, but also he's got to be healthy before he comes home. And I've got 2 other kids that are in school and in their own activities, and it's been insane. But I just want to say thank you for all the support that you guys have offered. The man, the people have reached out and offered help. I don't have a good way to thank you guys, honestly. Man, got other things I got to talk about, but just once again, thank you for everything. It really does mean the world that you guys take the time out of your day to support this and obviously support my family by extension, and I appreciate it. All right. Let's get to some other things real quick. You got to get to a couple other things before we go here. Okay, a couple of emails that came in. Tanner Mortimer sent this in, and Tanner, of course, you're a longtime listener. I appreciate you sending this. Says those that wanted TCU to be a night game because quote BYU does better at night might be in luck because there will be a solar eclipse on October 14th when BYU plays TCU. I don't think it's at the exact same time, but it's close. That's a good point there, Tanner, because I don't know if you've seen that they're saying that Central Utah can have massive traffic jams because that they call it the blood moon or blood sun or whatever they're calling it is going to go right across central to southeastern Utah, and they're saying that the traffic in those areas could be backed up for miles potentially on October 14th. But it is a good point. So maybe that's the answer right there. Maybe BYU will do that. They are 19-1 their last true night games. Like we're talking like 8 o'clock and after kickoffs. I get that thought. Another email that came in, and this one, okay. I'm not going to read the person's name because I don't want to out them publicly. But this was the email. It says oh, I'm going to go from crying to laughing. But this email came in. It said the subject line says, "Love your podcast, but ... Here we go. Love your podcast, but I'd hate hearing you and other BYU associated people referencing, quote, the football gods. It's annoying hearing it on ESPN, but it's so much worse hearing it from people who know better. Think celestial, brother." Okay. Second part of this. Also, I love that you asked Connor Pay about his favorite conference talks. All right. I'm going to leave you anonymous here because I don't want to like flame away on you. Here's the thing. The football gods comment it's pretty innocuous in the realm of things. My mother, my saintly mother, who I am the oldest of 7 kids, she is the most devout woman I know in anywhere of anybody I know. I ran this email by her and she said, "Are you kidding me? They really care about you using the term the football gods?" Well, okay. If it's going to offend people, I'll just start saying the football deities or the football whatever. Thank you for the levity, honestly, because I get that you're serious about the take, but at the same time, really, football gods, think celestial, brother. Come on now. I love you guys out there. All right. A little bit of nonsense, but nonetheless. All right. A couple of notes real quick. BYU women soccer tied 1-1 with number 7 ranked Texas Tech. This has been an interesting soccer season for BYU women's soccer. They very much look very competitive in this conference. It was not going to be a cakewalk by any means going into a higher level of basketball. So congratulations, Jennifer Rockwood and her squad on their draw. Excuse me, they draw 2. It drew 2-2. It was 1-1 at halftime. Apologies. Ended up drawing 2-2, both scoring goals on either side of halftime. So congratulations to women's soccer on that showing. Also, you're going to see BYU women's volleyball. Number 10 ranked Cougars are headed to Oklahoma on Saturday. That'll be tomorrow, 1 o'clock Mountain Time. BYU women's volleyball ranked number 10 in the country. They moved up 1 spot this past week in the rankings, if I'm not mistaken. And also, I meant to mention this earlier, Jacob Robinson was named the Jim Thorpe Award National Defensive Back Player, Defensive Back of the Week Award winner for this past week. So congratulations to him. And also, BYU football is going to reseat the north and south end zones. It's got a lot of BYU fans up in arms. I get that, but at this point, I wouldn't proclaim to say that I have any influence one way or the other on saying whether it's a good or a bad thing. It's just more of the same for BYU athletics, and they're trying to generate new revenue streams, and this is a way to do that. And obviously, it's going to upset some BYU fans along the way, but also give opportunities to others. So, yeah. So there you go. So thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for the support of the podcast once again. It really does mean a lot that you guys have reached out. There have been a number of you who have offered up meals, have sent your well wishes, your prayers, your thoughts. It really does mean the world to me. So thank you for bearing with me on this podcast. My mind's not really been as entrenched as it should be in what I do. And my schedule's been screwed up. Many of you know how regimented my schedule is during the season. Typically, having a kid during this period is kind of thrown it into a little bit of a kind of a warp in a way. But looking forward to getting back to it. I'm going to be back doing radio next week as well. We'll get back into the swing of things. It's game week once again. We're coming off the bye week. Looking forward to BYU and TCU squaring off. Any big news that happens over the weekend, I'll be sure to maybe throw up some shorts on YouTube and also on social media. I'll give you some quick takes if anything crazy happens over the weekend. But the good news is Monday, we're back at it. It's game week. BYU and TCU. We're going to talk with Steven Simcox from Locked On Horned Frogs next week on the podcast. We'll talk with Connor Pay again, recap how the bye week went for him, how his downtime went, etc. So we got plenty to go. And a big thank you once again for bearing with me on during this week. It's kind of, like I said, it's been just a weird one, but we're getting back after it. So thank you once again for the support. The good news is, I probably should also say this, it's looking like my son is going to come home sooner rather than later. That's the positive news. So don't have a firm date yet, but it's looking like the time in the NICU is fast coming to a close. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, all that good stuff. But thank you once again for the podcast, and I'm going to stop bloviating on, and we're going to wrap this thing up. So thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Thank you to all of you who have supported the venture, and also thank you for making it your first listen, as well as being everydayers with us here on the podcast. Until next time, probably on Monday, have a great rest of your day, my friends. This has been the Locked On Cougars podcast. See ya.